welcome to Saturday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where we're going to be having a look at this very colourful looking puzzle by Bremster today. This one is called 4DS, and according to the testers it is rather lovely, not just to look at but in terms of how it solves. I'm just trying to see why it's called 4DS. I am so bad at knowing things like this. I do not understand. You will have to tell me in the comments. Anyway, before we kick off today, I have a couple of things to mention first. Now, I have a very special happy birthday to wish to Chris John. Chris, I believe today is your 40th birthday. Your wife Sarah got in touch with us and said that you've become a firm follower, I suppose, of Cracking the Cryptic since the start of the pandemic. So we're delighted to hear that, and we hope you have a super day today. It only feels like yesterday that it was my 40th birthday. Really, it's only yesterday. Don't say anything, please. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention, actually, we got a very, very cool email just before I turned on the webcam. Now, I'd like to read this to you because I found it very touching, to be honest. So, this is the email. It says, "Hello, my name is Jackson. My wife gave birth to our second child today. She endured something more difficult than any puzzle Glipperl or Phistomefel could discover, a 9-month-long puzzle, in fact. I found your channel before our first son was born at the beginning of the pandemic, and you've helped me through it so far. Our first son really has grown up with CTC, enjoying your streams of the witness and mimicking the sounds of the bird level, even matching the keys, surprising us. I'm glad our second son will be able to share in our family's mutual joy in your channel. Thank you for all you do. For puzzlers all around the world, it really helps create order from life's chaos, even if it's just for a few hours a day." And that's from Jackson Justice. Jackson, thank you so much for sending that. I cannot tell you what emails like that mean to us. Many, many congratulations to you and your wife on the birth of your second child. That is a big day indeed, and we wish you all well with it. Now, what else did I want to mention? Well, yesterday I was in a rotten mood because Pencil Mark, found this puzzle by Phistomefel, which has just come out on Logic Masters Germany. It's called Treppen Sudoku, which I think means sequence Sudoku. And Mark, the rotter, had solved it already and posted his video of it over on Patreon. Well, that gave me at least the excuse that I could have a go at the puzzle, which I did. And I did it in a completely different way to Mark. I think my way is more, I think Phistomefel would approve of my way more. So I recorded a little video of how my solve went, and that's available for any of you who are interested. Well, no, it's not available yet because I haven't uploaded or edited it, but it will be available on Patreon very soon. So if you've watched Mark solve and you thought, whoa, that seems a bit strange, or I might have done it differently, I did do it differently, and you can check out my solve very soon. Other than that, nothing else to mention. Let's get on with 4DS. Maybe it's meant to be 4Ds. Is it 4? Have I got 4Ds? No, I don't really. The coloured lines are a bit D-esque, aren't they? But not quite Ds. Anyway, these are the rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Each coloured line must contain a complete set of the digits 1 to 9. A complete... that's interesting wording. A complete set of the digits 1 to 9. I often find myself saying that in videos nowadays, so that's put me on alert. But what does it mean? That means that that purple line there has to contain a set of the digits 1 to 9. So you can see there are 9 cells because there's one digit on the purple line in each row of the Sudoku. So that must be 9 cells, and there must be one of each digit somehow disposed along the purple line, the green line, the red line, and the yellow line. This is going to make scanning absolutely impossible because we're going to have to sort of be able to perceive the relationship between this cell and that cell, for example, which doesn't look like it's going to play to my strengths. Anyway, enough of that. Digits along an arrow must sum to the digit in that arrow's circle. So what's that telling us? Those two digits there, let's make them 2 and 4. 2 plus 4 equals 6. So that would be a legitimate way of filling in an arrow. In cages, digits must sum to the small clue in the top left corner of the cage. So those 3 digits sum up to 16. Cells in rows, columns, or on lines separated by a white dot must contain consecutive digits. Ooh, or on lines separated by a white dot must contain consecutive. Ah, yeah, okay. Look, our purple line has a white dot on it. So those two digits have to be consecutive. Wow, I've not seen that before. So I'm very used to crop key type relationships. So if this was a 4, this has to be consecutive with 4, i.e. it's got to be 3 or 5. But it's quite unusual to see it across on a diagonal, which is I think what this one is. So if that was a 5, this would have to be a 4 or a 6. And then we'd have to make sure this digit was fillable, which we couldn't in this case, because that would have to be another 5 to make 16, and that wouldn't work. Now, what else? We've got the cell with a blue circle must contain an odd digit, so that looks like it's that one. And the cell with a blue square must contain an even digit, so that's that one. So we've got a few rules today, but nothing controversial at all, apart from maybe the white crop key dots on the diagonals. So do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual, and now I get to play. Let's get cracking. And I'm tempted to start with that cell because I can see that that's odd, yet it has to add up to 6 in a domino. So what it can't be is a 3, because that would require another 3. And that definitely is against the rules of Sudoku. So that square I think only can be 1 or 5, which means this square must be 1 or 5, and that's on a white dot. So if this is 1, that's got to be 2. If this is 5, that's got to be 4 or 6. So we learn that this is even. But that's not on a line and doesn't seem to see very much else. We've got the same, same but opposite here. We've got with this digit has to be even now. So the only things it could be would be 2 or 4, given it's in a 6 cage. 12, 16. And we can use the secret. Right, so in fact I'm just going to fill that digit in. I can see that's got to be odd and it's got to be consecutive with 2 or 4, so that's 1, 3, 5. But let's use the secret on row 5 because we can. Now if you don't know the secret, where have you been? This is something I only tell my favourite people, but it is very, very interesting, and it is the fact that in any complete row of a Sudoku, in any complete column of a Sudoku, and indeed in any complete box of a Sudoku, the digits 1 to 9 appear once each. If you add those digits up, you will get the number 45. So I know that the whole of row 5 adds up to 45, but I also know from the cage totals that those 7 cells add up to 28. So these two squares have to add up to 17, and that means they have to be 8 and 9. And now we get to restrict the arrow look. So we've got, if this is 8, this has got to be 3 or 7, depending on whether this is 1 or 5. And if this is 9, this has to be 8 or 4. Okay, that is completely and utterly hopeless. What about this side? So if this, yeah, it might be better this side because you can't double 4 the arrow look. So if this is 8, you have to pair it up with 2, and that will have to go with a 6. If that's 9, that's 5 or 7. Oh, no, that's totally useless as well. Okay, sorry. These squares have got to be 3, 6, and 7 to complete the row. Maybe the dot on the green arrow look. So a 9 cage in 3 cells. There are 3 ways you can do that. 1, 2, 6, 1, 3, 5, or 2, 3, 4. Now 1, 3, 5 is not possible because we need 2 of the digits in the 9 cage to be consecutive, and 1, 3, and 5 are just not consecutive. So this could be a 6 here with a 1, 2 pair, or, oh, okay, no, or that's annoying. The problem with the 2, 3, 4 variation is you could pair up the 2 and 3 in the consecutive digits, or the 3 and the 4 in the consecutive digits, bother. So that square is always even then, because if we are in the 2, 3, 4 iteration, there's definitely a 3 in the consecutive pair. But these two squares have many more options. They could be 2, 3 or 3, 4 or 1, 2, depending on whether this is 6 or not. Okay, so we know though, we've got 2 even squares in column 3 now. No, okay. We've also got a consecutive dot on the 16 diagonal. So the 16 diagonal, that could be a 3, 4 as a minimum, with a 9 here. Or it could, I suppose it could be 7, 8 with a 1 here. So this square has an awful lot of options, and that's very annoying. But parity, maybe. Yeah, well, I'm not sure how useful this is, in fact, but I will mention it. Though the thing about a consecutive pair of digits is that they must sum to an odd number, because a consecutive pair will consist of an even number and an odd number. If you add an even and an odd number, you get an odd number. So those two squares add up to an odd number, which means in order to make sure the 3 squares together add up to an even number, this also must be odd. And that is very annoying, because that doesn't do anything. Oh dear. And look, and I was about to try and do the same things down here with these, but we can't. There's no white dots. That sort of lack of white dots makes me wonder whether the puzzle's been put in correctly, because they do look like they want to be white dots very much, don't they? Everything else in this puzzle is beautifully balanced. I mean, it really is incredibly symmetrical. You know, the arrow, by symmetrical I mean if we rotate the grid around 180 degrees, it would map to itself, except for these 2 white dots, that's interesting. And I've not, well, the thing I haven't used yet is the coloured lines. Have I used them at all? No, I haven't actually. No, I actually haven't used them at all. So why are they here? That's the question. Is this set? Yeah, I do wonder whether it's set because of the wording of the instructions. Each coloured line must contain a complete set of the digits 1 to 9. And it's sort of hard to see what these lines are doing. They're very unusually disposed in the sense that sometimes with extra regions you can do geometric tricks. Like you could ask, where does that digit go in box 3? And you could see it couldn't go there by Sudoku and it couldn't repeat on its line, and you would be able to lock it into somewhere useful. But here, because the line is diagonal and doesn't stay in any box for very long, I don't really see how you do that or do much useful with the geometry. So if it is to do with set, what is it we're meant to be highlighting? Because that actually doesn't look very appetizing either. Because we've not really, well, it's hard for me at least to see. I can see that the coloured lines always occupy exactly the cages in these boxes, so that's a little bit interesting. And then they occupy a U pentomino in the other boxes. So what's that telling me? But I think I'm going to just highlight that. Let me just highlight those digits in some colour that's not going to be offensive. So is that an inoffensive colour? That's actually quite good. I can actually see all of the lines quite clearly. So, what is this telling us? That yeah, okay, that's very beautiful indeed, I think. So I now think this is a set puzzle. And the reason I think it's a set puzzle is I can now see that I think we're going to get a relationship between the dots here and the cages, which would be rather beautiful if that's true. Yeah, okay, so let's do this in the hope that the maths works. So why have I highlighted these grey cells? Well, it's because, believe it or not, I know the exact contents of the grey cells. I don't know how the digits are disposed within the grey cells at all, but in total I know exactly what is in these grey cells. And that's because, of course, each of these lines contains a set of the digits 1 to 9. So the grey cells I've highlighted, the only complication here is that these circled cells, look, are actually on two lines. So this one, let's focus on this one for a moment. I've given it a blue flash. You can see it's on the purple line and it's on the green line. The same is true here. That's on the green and the red line. So each of the circles is on two lines. But that means if I was to describe the grey cells to you, I could say that they are 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9 if you count whatever digit is in each of the circles twice. So that means that they're, in effect, the grey cells I've highlighted, there probably are only 32 of them, because in 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9 there will be 36 digits. But because we're counting these twice, that would imply I've only highlighted 32 squares. And in fact, yeah, we can do the maths on that very quickly. If I've highlighted a U pentomino in these boxes, 5 times 4 is 20, plus another 12, 3 times 4 is 32. So we've highlighted 32 cells, but providing we count the digits that appear in the circles twice, we know that the grey cells comprise 36 digits. 4-digit 1s, 4-digit 2s, 4-digit 3s, all the way through to 4-digit 9s. Now, the trick here, though, is to realise we can highlight a different 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9 and make magic happen. And the way to do that is to look at box 2, box 6, box 4, and box 8. And if we highlight those digits, I hope this is going to be... That's probably not so offensive. Hopefully, all we're focusing on is the grey and the orange colour now. Now, because I've highlighted all of box 2, all of box 4, all of box 6 and all of box 8, that is 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9, because a whole box of a Sudoku obviously contains 1 set of the digits 1 to 9. So at the moment, we can say that the orange digits that we've highlighted and the grey digits that we've highlighted, with the grey digits we're counting these twice, don't forget, the orange and the grey digits are exactly the same. They comprise exactly the same digits. Now, why does this matter? Well, I want to imagine what happens if we remove this digit from grey and from orange. Well, because this digit is in the grey set of digits and it's in the orange set of digits, and at the moment the grey and the orange set contain identical digits, if I throw the same digit out of both sets, the two sets will still be exactly the same. They'll just be slightly smaller. There will be less digits in both sets, but the digits that are left will be the same. So for any cell here that has orange and grey, I can simply remove it from both sets of orange and grey, and it's still true to say at this point that the orange set and the grey sets contain the same digits. Now, we're going to have to deal with these circles now, and this is perhaps going to be the trickiest thing to think about. Remember that the circles were in the grey sets of digits twice. You can see, though, that they're also once in the orange set of digits, because they are obviously included in the set of digits that made up box 2, for example. So if this digit is twice in grey and once in orange, we can remove it once from grey and once from orange, and it will still be left as just being a single grey. So we can turn all of these digits and remove their colouring and make them grey. And it's still true to say at this point that the grey digits and the orange digits are absolutely identical. And hopefully there will be the same number. You can see that we've got 16 orange cells and we've got 16 grey cells. So indeed, we have equality, and that's grand. Now, this is where I think the magic is going to happen though, because look, in the grey set of digits we have this circle digit, whatever that digit is, but we know that that sums up to the same as those two digits that appear in the orange set. Now, let's think about this before we do anything here. If we know that the orange digits and the grey digits are the same, and we do, what's the sum of the grey digits? Well, we don't know, but we know that whatever it adds up to, it's going to be the same sum as the orange digits. So at the moment, the sums of both sets of digits are the same. If I was to remove that digit from grey and those two digits from orange, it would still be true to say that the orange digits and the grey digits add up to the same number, because that's the nature of the arrow. These two digits add up to that one. Do the same here. I'm going to take those two out of orange and that one out of grey. I'm going to take this one out of grey and those two out of orange. I'm going to do the same here. And look, you can see we end up with a situation where we end up with dottage here. We end up with 4 dominoes of orange, which must have the same sum as the grey cells. And this is the reason I think this is beautiful, is because the grey sums we know, because we can add them up. Now this is where we hope this hasn't been a complete red herring, because we've got 9 plus 16 is 25, 36, 54. We've got 54 in grey, which seems an awful lot to have to put into just 8 cells of orange, especially as these are relatively low numbers. So we must have to max out these dominoes. So if we max those out with 8 nines, we're going to have 17 and 17 is 34. We need these 4 cells to add up to 20, and I've broke... No, no, I haven't. Gosh, why couldn't I see that that was possible? That's so weird. The way my brain worked there, it said, no, those 4 digits can't add up to 20, but they can. If you maximise everything, that 6 and that 5, and that 4 and that 5, you get 11 plus 9. And 11 plus 9 is 20. So this is it. This is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Hats off, Bremster. That is incredibly clever setting. So basically, in order to preserve and make sure that mathematics works in the universe, we have to put 8 nines into here. We have to put 6 5 into here. We have to put 4 5 into here. And therefore that's 1, and therefore that's 2. That's 7, because it's this square is interesting. It sees 6 and 5 now, so that's become 7. That's 9. That's 8. That's 7. And all of us, that's not. Oh yeah. Look, this cell is not 6 anymore. So that means that's not 1 2. So this is a 2 3 4 triple with 3 on the diagonal now, which is coming out of that cell now. So Oh, that's beautiful. Good grief. Right, okay, look now at this square, which we proved earlier had to be odd. Well, now this digit sees 3 by the medium of the green line, so it's not 3 anymore. Sees 5, 7 in its column, and sees 9 on the green line, so it's got to be 1. And that means those 2 squares have got to add up to 15 in consecutive form, so they have to be 7, 8. There's a 7 here. So that's 7, that's 8. Oh well, okay, it was going very well for a moment or two. I'm not terribly surprised it stopped. I've got an 8 9 pair in this column now, so these 2 circles have to be not too big. I suppose they could be 3s with a 1 2 pair, so we probably don't know all that much about them. We've still got 2 cages at the bottom of the grid that I've not used at all. Oh, and I can't put 8 in this one, look, anymore. The red line rules 8 out of those cells, and the 8 9 pair rules 8 out of... Oh yeah, this is lovely. Actually, I tell you what, this is quality setting as well, because if we think about Bremster's choices as a setter here, you can have the idea about the equality between the cages and the dominoes, but this idea will work whatever totals you put on the grey cells, providing in total they sum up to 54. Now, by selecting the ones that he has, we've got this lovely logic involving this cell, and we've now got a lovely logic involving this triple as well, because now we can't put 8 into it. It must have a 9 in it, and it must have a 9 in it because there is a way of making 18 in 3 cells without an 8 and a 9, but that way requires a 5, 6 and a 7, all of which have now appeared here and can't appear in those 2 cells. So you definitely can't make this a 5, 6, 7 triple. It's going to need a 9 therefore, and the 9 will have to go here because of this 9 here. 9, well, 8, 9 pair. So these 2 squares add up to 9, but they can't be 1, 8. So they're going to need to have 5, 6 or 7 in one of their cells, which will have to be here. Just checking the red line. Now that square's got to be 2, 3 or 4. Ah, is that right? Yes. Okay, so look now. We've got a 2, 3, 4 triple in this column, which means those 2 squares have got to be 1 and 8 to complete column 3. 9 has to be in one of 2 cells in box 9. And we still haven't worked on the 11 cage, which can we do anything with that? Let's have a look at column 7. We need 2s, 3s, 6s and 9s into the balance. So let's put those in. Because you can't put 9 in an 11 cage. That won't work. So you've only got 2, 3 and 6 as options. Now we're going to have to scan carefully because that square sees everything on the purple line, but I think the purple line only has 9, 7 and 8 on it. This square sees everything on the yellow. Oh, that's no good. No, okay, these don't get restricted. So what's this digit then? Well, okay, it's got to be 2, 3 or 6, doesn't it? Because however we select 2 digits from here, we're always, because these 3 digits add up to 11, we're always going to have to use the same combination. So this is 2, 3 or 6. That's not 2, I suppose. So there's got to be a 2 in this domino, so that's not 2 and that's not 2. I can't see how to resolve this. I'm sorry. Okay, bobbins, we'll have to look for something else. Where shall we look next then? Shall we look at the remainder of this box and the remainder of this box? I don't see much. I'm not sure what else we can look at. So in here we need 2s, 3s, 4s and 9s. Which... oh, I see. Yeah, okay. Wow, this is so difficult to see, at least for me. Maybe you guys are all looking at that cell and going, yeah, well, that can only be 2, 3 or 4. In fact, I've just realised it can only be 2 or 4, in fact, because it sees 3 on its green line and 9 over there. So that square's only got the option to be 2 or 4, and now there's a 2, 3, 4 triple on that green line. Now, what about the red line? The red line sees 9 as well. So this is 2, 3, 4 or 9. This is mad. But it can't be 9 because of that 9. So it's 2, 3 or 4. It probably can't be something else, but I can't spot what it is. So in fact, yeah, the question is, where does 9 go in that box? It can only go in one cell, given the redness and the greenness of some of the lines. So that's a 2, 3 or a 4. I've now got a 2, 3, 4 triple on the red line and on the green line. Okay, what does that mean? I don't know is the answer. I'm sure it's useful somehow. So perhaps what we need to do... oh, hang on. Have I made... Yeah, I'm now asking myself where 8 goes on the green line, because I can see it can't go in any of those 3 squares, and I don't think I've got an 8 on it at the moment, so I think that has to be 8. So 8 is in a domino in box 9 now, and the remaining cells we need to put into those cells in box 6 are 1, 3 and 6. Oh, and there's a 6 here. Right, so that's a 6. We get a 1, 3 pair there. 6, oh look, 6 is on a purple line, so it's not here anymore. Can we do any more than that? 3, 1. Oh, this is right. Yeah, we can. This is a 1, 3 pair, and that sees this cell beneath it. Doesn't matter which of these is 3. Whichever one it is, it sees that cell. It's either here, rules itself out from that cell by Sudoku, or it's here and it's on the yellow line. So that this square must be a 6. So now there's a 2, 3 pair in this column, so we can get rid of... Oh yeah, in fact, look, now we ask where 6 goes in column 7. It's got to go at the top, so that's a 6, that's a 9. 9 is in a domino at the top of box, or top of column 8. Okay, and then we're stuck again. 6 comes out of this cell by Sudoku, look, in so that takes 3 out of that square. These two had to add up to 9. So now on the yellow line, oh no, I don't know anything at all. I've almost got a 2, 3, 4 triple, look, but I haven't quite got it. So it's nearly useful, but not actually useful. Can we get... No, I was wondering whether I could get 8 in box 1, but I think it's still got 2 possibilities. So, maybe the green line now then. Yes, I've actually, it's hard to see, but I have got 6 digits approximately on the green line. I've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9. So these squares, these are 5, 6 and 7, and I can see that there's a 6 there. So I think that's a 6. This is a 5, 7 pair. That's not 6 anymore. 6 by Sudoku goes here in box 1. So 6 in box 7 is in a domino at the bottom. Can we do any better than that? I want to do this 5, 7 somehow, but I can't see whether that's possible. 2, 3, 4. What about the red line now, maybe? Because the red line, don't forget, also has a 2, 3, 4 triple on it. So the red line needs 1s, 5s, 6s and 7s. Yes, so in the red line, what's that digit? It sees 5, 6 and 7 in its box, so that's a 1. I think it's a naked single. Doesn't actually do very much, but it was quite interesting. So the rest of the red line needs to be... Oh, no, look, I've got a 5, 7 pair on the red line now in those 2 squares. So I've got to put 6 on the red line. It's got to go here. So that's 6, that's 6. Oh, okay. I've done load. Oh, I've got a whole plethora of 6s. In fact, okay, I haven't put 6 in the middle box. 6 goes in the middle of the grid, look. 6 goes in the middle of the grid. We can not see how to finish it, but we can. I don't know whether to look. Should I look at the purple line now? What do I need on the purple line? I've got loads of high digits. I need 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s and 5s. So that square has got to be a 2, 3 or a 4 because it sees 1, 5 in its box. 2, 3, 4. So 5 on the purple line has to be in one of those 2 cells. Don't actually see how to do that at all. Can I do anything with this arrow then? So on this arrow we need to have Oh, if that's a 5, we can't use 1, so that's got to be a 2-3 pair, which is a bit interesting. So if that's a 2-3 pair, that would force that to be a 4. If this is 7, that would be 5, so we couldn't use 2-5 on the arrow, or 1-6, so this would be 3-4, and that would be a 2. Oh, that's weird. Okay, so yeah. So there's always a 3 on this arrow. Which it might matter, although doesn't. It's either a 3-4 pair, or it's a 2-3 pair. Ah, now I've got a 2-3-4 triple in row 3, so that means that square is a 5 out of nowhere. So there's a 5 down here, there is a 5 over here, there's a 5 over in one of those 2 cells as well, because 5s are locked into these cells in boxes 8 and 9, so we can't put 5s in those 2 positions. So can we do any better than this? We can. I don't know. I'm sure there's a way of doing it somehow, but I don't have a clue what that is. 3 must be in one of these 2 cells. Is that you? Yeah, oh yes, I see. Yeah, where does 3... There's a 1-3 pair here, so that can't be 3. So that's a 3. So that's a 3. Aha! 2-4 pair here, so this is a 3. Ah, that gets me a 3 and a 7 there. 3, 3. Can I put 3 here? That would put 1, 2 on the arrow, which would have to be in a very specific order. Don't know, that might be possible. And what's the other? I've not looked at the yellow line particularly. On the in the yellow line, I've got no digits practically. That's very annoying, isn't it? So on the yellow line, what digits have I? I've got to place 7. I've not put 7, and I've not put 5 onto it yet. Yeah. Is that the key? Yeah, if you look at those 6 cells, I've not put 5 onto it. So 5 has to occupy one of these 3 cells. But I've also got to make sure I put 5 on the purple line somewhere. So the only cell that meets both of those criteria is that one. So that's a 5, which means that's a 5 and that's a 7, which means that's a 4 and that's a 2. That's beautiful. It is beautiful. 7. Oh, and I've still got to put 7 on the yellow line, and now those 7s are telling me it's got to be here. That's gorgeous as well. Wow, okay. So how does this now help us? Does it help us? 5 on the green line, 7 on the red. Yes, 7's on the red line, so that makes its way down there and gets us a 5 and a 4 here. That gets us a 2 and a 4 there. That gets us a 2 and a 4 there by the medium of the green line's own madness. And I've now got a 2 on the purple line, which goes through there, which means that can't be a 3, so that's all resolving itself. That's now a 2, and I've just got 1 digit, which is a 4, I've not put on the purple line. And and I've not filled this digit in on the... That's got to be a 1 on the yellow line. We're doing this in a very strange way, but we are getting there, I think. Now that's got to be a 4 by Sudoku. That's a 9 by Sudoku. That gets us the 9 and the 8. The 9 and the 8. That must be an 8 by Sudoku. That's got to be a 2 and a 5. These squares have got to be 2 and 3, which do add up to 5. So that gives us some confidence that's correct. That's now a 5. That's an 8. That's a 1. Did I just take the pencil mark of an 8? Yes, okay, I did. So that's an 8 in the top of the grid there. And where should we look now? Perhaps let's try and complete this row, shall we? We need 1s and... yeah, let's try and do that, but we can't. That's a 1-7 pair in some order. What about this box then? Box 1 still needs 5s, 7s and 9s. Of course it does, because I can't do anything with that. Oh, this is a 5-7 pair, I suppose. So 9 lives in the corner, which is useful. No, that is useful. Fair enough. This is a 3-4 pair, which we can do. That's got to be a 2. That's good. Now, that digit should now be known, shouldn't it? If I could scan, I would be able to write it in. I think it's a 4. And these should be 1, 7, and 8, which means that 7 only has one place, which gets us all of those digits. That gets us the 7 and the 5. We need 1s, 2s, 3s down here, and there we go. I think we finished the puzzle. That's really quality setting. Loved it. Absolutely loved it, Bremster. Just, yeah, so much to admire in terms of, I think, not only the sort of global conception of the idea with these long lines, and the fact that you could use set to limit these dominoes to be equivalent values, but the actual selection of the values thereafter in order to make the solve very beautiful, and the little interactions between the digits dance so nicely. That was a touch of class indeed. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it made your Saturday night more pleasurable, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.